Um, I know last week we talked about abandonment issues of, our past and things we've been through. Tonight I wanted to talk about more or less about boundaries, of setting boundaries for ourselves. So the definition of a boundaries is a line that marks the limits of an areas in our life. And I feel like this topic would be great because this is a month of love, and love without boundaries can create so much more trauma and heartbreak. Love without boundaries would have you in a relationship with a person who speaks negative about you. It would cause more trauma, and even with your family, in your family's life. People. Trying to think how to say this. Yeah. So the reason why I decided to talk about this topic is because I know since I was young in high school, I dated people who were no good, people I know that I shouldn't have no business dating. So yeah, they were cheating, putting me through things that I have no business being around and seeing. So yeah. Let's see. I forgot. Let's see.
Sorry, can I just interrupt really quickly? I apologize. I just want to give you guys a heads up that we are being recorded. Just to give you guys a heads up. It's okay. Just continue as normal.
Yeah.
This is for those who want to see the replay, the ladies who can't attend for tonight. So that's what it's really for. Okay. Continue.
Yeah. So so I learned that you cannot create boundaries if you do not know who you are as a person. You don't know what you are protecting from yourself. That's why we struggle to have boundaries, because we don't know who we are as a person. You can have a vision of who you want to be, but if you don't have a vision without boundaries, it will never work. You will continue to sacrifice yourself, your time, your money into relationships with other people. Yeah, I'm nowhere organized with my notes. I have so many notes, but I like it's all scattered.
That's okay. Keep going.
Uh,
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning part. You said relationship with ourselves?
yeah.
So are we talking about the importance of having a relationship with ourselves, boundaries, like the boundaries when it comes towards other people and ourselves, or the relationship with ourselves and other people, creating those boundaries in relationships?
Within ourselves.
Within ourselves, okay.
Yes, because if you don't have those set boundaries with those people, then they're going to continue to keep walking over you. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That aspect.
Okay, let's see. So, excuse me. So, creating boundaries. I know for me, that's something that I struggled with, is creating boundaries with other people. And whenever I don't create those boundaries with other people, I end up being the one who's always hurt in the end. So then I always have to go back and try to do that whole self-reflection and try to figure out, okay, all right, Mimi, so you're doing this again, or the same thing is happening. This is a completely different person. And it doesn't matter if it's in a relationship with the opposite sex, relationship when it comes to business, relationship when it comes to work, or even relationship when it comes to friends. Why am I always being hurt? And then I had to do a lot of self-reflecting and realize I kind of allow these people to cross these boundaries that I set up for myself. So because I allowed them to cross those boundaries, I was always the one who was hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? How about
Right.
you, Irene? Like, do you have like any type of similar relation to what I just said, as far as like being hurt by other people because I kind of allowed people to continue to cross those boundary lines that I set up, but I kept, I kept failing myself at the end.
Yeah, I would say that I don't think I have that issue, at least with, but I recently made some realizations about myself, and I think my main struggle is setting boundaries with my brain. Yeah, it's like it's harming me a lot. My thinking process and all the scenarios I create all the time, and I believe them, and I'm like, it's gonna happen. It's like I convince myself that what I'm thinking is going to happen like right now, and I realize that this now I think I found a way kind of to control it, but it was like just today I'm talking about it. I was
Yeah.
thinking of that. So that's my main issue. As far as boundaries with others, I guess I did have trouble with my ex-husband. There were no boundaries. Like I was a doormat
Okay, yeah.
in every way. And I lost myself, trying to become the person he wanted me to be. And it never happened. I was never good enough. So, and I would say then there's people that you try to set boundaries with, and they don't have boundaries.
Yes.
So that would be my ex-husband, for instance. So, I think that's the time that you say, you know what, stay away altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Can I jump in here for a second and just
Yes, I'm so glad you, yes.
I just kind of wanted to relate to that for a second. So I dated somebody in my early 20s. We dated for about a year, and he was just very immature, very conceited, very pretentious. And so we broke up, and I want to say 4 years later or something, he reached out, because they always do.
Yes.
And, and he basically gave me this story just saying, hey, I just wanted to apologize for having blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, yeah, please go away. And he then proceeded to kind of go on this rant about how I'm holding a grudge against him. And I said, look, I think you're confusing holding a grudge with holding boundaries. Holding a grudge kind of implies that I'm holding on to an anger or a hatred or something towards you, when I'm not. I'm trying to hold a boundary and say, I do not want to speak to you. And he did not like that, but it felt really good to say. And I think that it's really important that we understand the difference between holding a grudge and holding a boundary.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people understand that.
100%.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for that. You make that makes a lot of sense. That's very important to note.
Yeah.
Understand your ground to say no. That's
exactly.
I get that. So that's one of the things that I'm working on, is to identify myself, identify the person who I want to become, and step into that purpose, of what are the boundaries that identify the person that I want to become, which is being more honest, having integrity, being a character, being a person who shows up for other people. So maybe you guys would want to do that yourself, is to jot down who's the person that you want to become, and be identify as, because once you do that, identify yourself, it'll be easier to set boundaries around it. And that's how I view it. But
anybody else would like to chime in? Thank you, Kim. Tiffany, would you like to chime in?
Yes, sure.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No problem.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really one to set boundaries, because I'm just like loose and free and no limits, I guess. But then when things hurt my feelings, and then like I try to set a boundary like from there on, it's like no, because of the past, like I already let this, like it's already a habit, that has been formed. And so it's hard to like say like, all right, I know I let you treat me like this in the past, but now it's not okay. Like, some people don't get with that and they don't understand. So
That's
that's
true.
difficult to deal with.
100%. Thank you. Takesha, do you have anything to say? Anything to add?
Yeah, I think what Kimberly said is very important about, maybe writing down who you are, because a lot of times I think we get caught up in people's definition of who we should be.
Exactly.
And then we become that image of what they want us to be because there's no boundary set. So we're the best friend or anytime you need me, I'm there. Like, I'm your rag doll, I'm your go-to person, I'm your shoulder to cry on. And then a lot of times we take all that pressure and stress off everyone else. But then when it's time for us, there is no one for us to release that to.
Exactly.
And then we become caught up in this cycle of we're physically, emotionally drained. But what we do is we continue to just keep going and not deal with those things. So if you know who you want to be identified as and you know who you are, you won't allow certain things to happen, you know?
Exactly.
So I think that's a very good point. And that's something that I never used to do, but I'm learning to do. And as I grow, I realize and identify different things or aspects of where I fall short that I learn to improve on.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
And I feel like
self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
In a sense. Go ahead.
Oh no, I say because I saw that Niche had a question in the comments. She was saying, how do I identify myself? I feel like it starts with surrounding yourself around people who can give you wisdom and input about yourself, and seeking therapists, a person who can, give you that nurture, that wisdom that you may need to bring out the best in you. I guess you could say that. Meditating, just listen to other people's stories, and just taking their input of what they did to help become the person that they are. That's how I identify myself.
Exactly. So when I was going but during my healing journey, it was a process. I will say I went on my healing journey it's been a year, and actually literally a year this month. And the biggest thing that I did realize about myself was I didn't set up those boundaries. And then I would end up being the one to self-sabotage. I would be the one who would always end up hurt. Yep. And around 6 months ago is when I really decided to take a step back and reflect on myself. And I wrote it in my journal. So I already did that exercise, Kim. I wrote it in my journal about the woman that I want to be. And not just the woman that I want to be, but the woman who I know that I'm meant to be, that's always been there, that I kind of pushed to the back burner because I was so busy people pleasing, in a sense, where because I was people pleasing, I ended up bruising the relationship between me and myself. So if I didn't have a relationship with myself, so I can't have a relationship with myself and then expect other people to come in and have a relationship with me, because if I don't have those boundaries within myself, I cannot set those boundaries up for other people. So it took me having to step back from everyone. When I say everyone, I mean everyone in my life, and really self-reflect. For a month, I did that by myself, to really reflect and then set up those personal boundaries. Remember who Mimi was back in the day and who Mimi wants to be going forward, and set up those healthy boundaries where now I don't tolerate a lot of things. And it did kind of end up allowing me, having me to lose certain people, but that showed me those were the people that were not meant to be in my life. They were not meant to stay in my life. They're not meant to go on this new journey of who I am becoming. Laura?
Yeah. You summed it up. You summed it up super, super well. I think it's also important to realize that it's going to hurt at first. You might cut people out of your life that you really, really like, and you've been through a lot, and they've been in your life for a very long time. And boy, is that going to suck, that you're not going to have them. But it's just, as time goes by, you're going to kind of look back on your relationship with them and be like, well, I never noticed that they did this and they did that and they said this thing, and they kind of, and then you'll look back and you'll see, wow, that was really, really unhealthy. I was, was in a relationship. I've been in a lot of relationships, but I was in like a 1-month relationship with somebody, and I noticed, like, after we kind of separated, I looked back and I realized he would always call me like a tiny woman. And I thought he was referring to my size, and it never really bothered me because I was shorter than him. But looking back on it, I'm like, he said that a lot, and it was just a very, like, patronizing thing to say,
Mhm.
and it was just little things that were just kind of derogatory. And and at first, when we kind of separated, I was really upset and really hurt. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take my tiny woman ass and go be fine somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, again, it sucks at first, but it'll
Mhm.
get better.
It will
And
get
I
better.
feel like that's why we settle a lot, because we enjoy the feel good moments.
Yeah.
And we start to realize that, hey, do I really deserve this? Am I really this person that this person keeps saying I am?
Yeah.
So that I learned along the way.
And it's also, I think, important to realize that, the people that have hurt you, like, karma is a real thing. It really,
Mhm.
really, really is. And something that always brought me a lot of comfort was just thinking, these people are going to get what's coming to them. Like, they cannot get away. You can't get away with, like, really hurting a good person. And
Right.
that always bothered me a lot. Is like, I'm sitting here crying and being sad, and I didn't do anything to them, and I'm hurt. But it always comes back for them. Karma always comes back for them. It always does. At some point, they're going to regret treating you that way. Believe me, they will. That's all.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yep.
Miss Onish, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Kim, you want to continue?
Good evening, Thrivers. I'm listening. Thank you so much, Kimberly. That's a good point. Thank you, Mimi. It's a good point that if you don't set boundaries for your mental status, your mental state of mind, then how can you set boundaries with someone else?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If I don't teach you how to treat me, then you'll treat me anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times for me, I've learned to do that since I was in probably high school. My dad taught me that, to set boundaries. We started at home with my brothers. And even now as a woman, as an adult, I'll allow people to do things to me. I will.
Yeah.
Sis always says, I don't know how you do it. Why do you do it? But in a business setting, sometimes I allow things to go on for a while so that I can see who's there and who's present. And there are other times where I nip it in the bud. But there are times where I let it go on because I know it won't last. People don't last. People get bored doing the same thing over and over. And if they're really there to love, to support, to help you grow, they'll stick around. But if they're just there temporal, they'll make noise until it's time for them to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to learn that people come for a season, they come for a time, and they come for a lifetime. So I've learned that a long time ago, that each person is just a needle and thread that has come to stitch my cloth, which is my life.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to stitch the complete line. They probably just leave one stitch, which is something that I learned from. And then Mimi will come and stitch 2 stitches. Irene come and stitch 4. Tiffany come and she go all the way with me. So you got to have that discernment from early. Who is this person? Why are they here? What is their purpose? And once you start doing that up front, you start scanning them, you'll know. Then you won't even have to bother yourself with setting boundaries. I like what Irene said. She's doing a personal check on herself to set boundaries within her. And I think that's the main key, setting boundaries within us. how we treat ourselves. Tiffany, how you treat yourself is important, because the way you treat you is how Irene will treat you. People judge you by your outer appearance. If your hair is not combed, guess what? Irene could see you in the grocery store and say you're a raggedy head doll. You allow her to treat you that way because you treat yourself like that. But we don't look at life that way. So I turn it back over to Kimberly.
Yeah, so I agree what you have stated in that scenario. So yeah, it's one of the things that I believe that we all should do is just jot down the person, make a list of the person that you know that you can become, and keep reading yourself that same list, and say, I am this person, I will become this person, and these are the set boundaries for these certain people. So that way, you keep yourself more alarmed, and the more you keep telling yourself that, it'll be in your subconscious mind, when that person comes back with a favor, or just to come back around just to use you in general. That's what I tell myself.
I have a question. I know last week we definitely touched on the topic or the subject about abandonment. And I know a lot of us, we kind of like had that aha moment, like, whoa, the way how I grew up really shows like my abandonment issues. Do you think that there's a correlation between abandonment and setting boundaries, or lack thereof setting boundaries in our relationships? That question could go for anyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I think if we're abandoned, either whether it's, just one traumatic time or a whole bunch of times, I think eventually we get this message of like, I must not be worth keeping around.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting the effect that abandonment can have. And as you were speaking, I wasn't here last week, but at one point this guy was interested in me, and I wasn't interested in him, but he said something like, you must be adopted because of all the abandonment issues that you have.
Wow.
Yeah. And first of all, that hurt because I am adopted, but he didn't know that. But, my abandonment issues never came from my adoption, ever, 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 ever. I always knew I was adopted, so I never really felt like I was missing out on anything.
Mm-hmm.
But my abandonment issues have come from, men or just people in general telling me that they love me and they want to be with me and they'll stick with me through thick and thin, and then not doing that. So yeah, definitely, I think that our abandonment issues come from, our self-image comes from, our abandonment issues. They're definitely connected, for sure.
Yeah.
But let me ask you girls this question, right? Last week class was very intense. What I like to provoke. I really like to provoke. As women, do we realize how much our abandonment issues affect our personal lives? Not in a relationship now, but because we're talking about fixing us as women before we enter into relationships. Do we realize how much it affects us?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. We might not be aware, I think.
Good.
I think
Tiffany, what's your thoughts? Oh, sorry, Irene.
No, I'm that's what I have to say. Go ahead.
Tiffany, what's your thoughts?
Oh, I think it's definitely like unconscious and things that we do without knowing, and then it's all about our belief too, and thinking, and then like we're causing it in real life because this is what we think about ourselves.
But why should somebody's son be in a relationship with a woman who struggles with abandonment and not knowing that she has that problem? Right? How does a man handle that issue? what do you think? Because we women, we get frustrated, we get angry, we get upset, we get, we get all emotional, we get uptight when a man doesn't do what we want him to do, not knowing, like you guys said, subconsciously we're struggling, we're not aware that we have this problem. But now that we have identified the problem, why should someone's son stay with us in a relationship that is also affecting him?
I mean, he's not perfect. I'm sure he has his issues. And I mean that,
All right, we're not going to bash the men now. We are not going to bash them. We're fixing
No,
us.
I know. I'm not trying to, but I'm saying, I think any man would understand, like I have my own issues and she has her issues. And that's, love is loving an imperfect person perfectly,
I like that. Love is loving the imperfect person perfectly. I like that one. I'll take it.
Okay.
Because if you really love somebody, you should be able to communicate with your partner, right? And say, listen, honey, I have this issue. And this issue is that I'm struggling in this area.
Yeah.
Right? Good. I like this class too. It's good. Back to you, Kimber.
Yeah, so and that's pretty much what I had to say, was setting the boundaries for yourself. And yeah.
Tiffany, this is your first time to our tribe, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so my question to you is, Tiffany, have you ever been in a relationship with a guy who is basically a knucklehead? Let's call him a knucklehead. But I'm laughing because my dad used to use that all the time, a knucklehead. And this guy really, he seemed nice on the front, but the closer you get to him, the more you realize that you yourself don't want to be in a relationship with him, because you recognize, that you have certain issues as a female. Have you ever been there?
Yes, multiple times. And
Let me ask you this question. Why do you keep having multiple relationships, if you don't mind sharing?
I wouldn't even call them relationships, because, just being from New York City, like I'm just used to like not jumping around, but if I don't have to stay with nobody, and the minute I see something I don't like, I just like, okay, bye. Or like, I'm used to the ghosting culture, I guess. So I don't really
Say that again.
that I'm used to the ghosting culture, like we just disappear out of each other's lives. So this is not, I don't have a lot of like long-term relationships, because the minute I do see something that I don't like, or something that I don't think it's like workable, or, that I want to put up with, then, I just move on to the next person, I guess.
Yeah, but let me ask you this question, Tiffany. How do you feel when let's say you date a guy intimately for 2 months, let's use 2 months, and you see that he has certain issues, or, you have pet peeves with him? How does it make you feel after?
I would say annoyed and maybe frustrated, and then, I kind of feel like, oh, I want to be your therapist. Tell me all your problems, and let's see if I can help you work through them. But I'm not certified for that. Not everybody's open or can even tell you like their problems. I would say it's so frustrating that it's just something I don't want to deal with.
I'm gonna say this to you respectfully. I like to give scenarios. Did you know that when you have sex with a man, this is you. This is your soul. And if you have sex with Joe, you have sex with Joe. So Joe is purple. Remember, this is your soul. And Joe only lasted 2 months. And let's say you skip a month and you go to John.
My current boyfriend's name.
No. Then you go to Paul. Then you go to Peter. You know, and you keep going. After a while, Tiffany, this is how your soul looks. By the time you're to get to the place to set boundaries for a man, you can't, because your soul is like this. So all of their problems, their issues, it's wrapped up in your soul as a woman. And then you depreciate, you devalue like a car, while they go about their business and they keep on living. Because obviously there is some sort of emptiness in you as a woman, why you keep on adding these guys to your soul. So when the right man comes along to love you and care for you, you can't function to your full capacity and shine bright, because all these guys messed up your soul. You're not alone. A lot of women around the world do it, have done it. So abandonment comes in because John goes, Paul goes, Peter goes, Saul goes, and you end up back to square one. But instead of you looking this clean, baby, you start looking like this. Everything is packed inside of your soul. So you're left with anger, abandonment, hurt, pain, abuse, everything, you name it, it's in your soul. How can you set boundaries for the next man that's coming? Can't. Because your mind goes back to the first guy, and the second guy, and the third guy, and the fourth guy, and you name it. Your mind goes back and you're like, you know what? Let me look for this in, John did this to me, so let me look for it in Peter. And let me look for it in Paul. And let me look for it in Thomas. And every time they come, you're looking for the one thing that John did to you before Peter came along. Then when John comes, who is clear and got his head screwed on his body, guess what we do? We screw up because we weren't delivered. We weren't detoxed. We didn't clean up ourselves. We didn't get rid of all the garbage and all the trash. We didn't empty ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We didn't take everything out. We didn't say, you got to get to the place where you say, enough is enough, and I just want to be free. I want to let go of everything that's holding me bound in my soul. That's why women, we need to heal, because we take mothers. Kim has 3 boys, and I always use her kids as example. 3 boys. And I'm sure as a mother, you don't want no woman that's broken to take your sons and destroy them. Because the same way how we hurt, a man is hurting too. Because we do stuff that men don't say nothing about, and they go into the next relationship and they carry it over just the same. So tonight, I want to encourage you, Tiffany, if you're doing that, get to know yourself, like Kimberly said. Search your soul and set boundaries within you as a woman. Find out why you keep changing men. Go back to your childhood, to the first time you dated a man, to the first time you had sex, and see what transpired, and write it down, and start affirming to yourself tonight that you will change and be a better woman. Because you want your soul to be healthy, so that when you get to the right guy, you can really enjoy the relationship. Because every woman, all we're looking for is emotional happiness. And when we don't get it, we don't thrive in the relationship. Am I wrong, Irene?
No, no, not at all.
Laura, what you think? Is Laura there? Mimi?
Absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. 100% to do that, that's soul searching. Because I mean, you can't try to jump into another relationship with a, I don't want to say dirty, but with a confused soul. Because if
Yeah.
you go into another relationship with that confused soul, you're going to have a very confusing relationship. And a lot of women, we get into these relationships, or, you know, new generation situationships. Like that, for real, like, let's call a spade a spade. That's what they call it.
Yep.
It's a situationship culture that we have right now. There really aren't like solid foundational relationships like how we had back like 10 to 15 years ago. Now it's all about situationships, get into relationships just because of, oh, this person has a nice car, this person has a nice house, this person has a big hello. Like, you know, let's be for real, that's what it is. But we're getting confused because we have that confusion. It's nothing but confusion on top of confusion on top of confusion. And if you do not take care of that confusion, you're never going to have something that's going to be successful and that's really going to thrive. So that's my 2 cents.
This is awesome. I like the contribution. Kim?
Yeah, I feel like that's where I went wrong when I first started dating. I feel like because I saw everybody was doing it, everybody was in, you know, everybody seemed in love, and that, you know, that pretty picture that you thought they were living in. So I feel like that's where I trapped myself in, because I felt like I had to be like everybody else to fit in under certain criteria. So I realized I didn't set myself with those certain boundaries now that I know now, and why that every time I went into a relationship, it kept reoccurring because I didn't have any boundaries. I didn't know who I was, you know, or what I wanted in general. But it also plays a big part of, like you said, abandonment as well, because I suffered from that too. You know, my mom not always being around, or my mom always, you know, was always chasing men in general, you know, to feel loved. So that a lot.
Tiffany? I don't know. For some reason, at this time of the night, the sirens always want to pass my gate.
Someone's
So
always up to something at this time of
I'm
day. you know?
telling you. So Tiffany, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can see that, and yeah, I can relate, you know. I mean, that was my dating life when I was younger. Um, I mean, you know, it happens, it would, you know, it's a, you know, a both way, like a two-way street, you know. Sometimes he could dump you out of nowhere and then you're just like, oh, I don't know what I did wrong or whatever. Or you can do it, you know. But you know, I've been a like I really don't jump from relationship or guy from guy. Like I'm fine being with by myself sometimes and reflecting. Um, but then, you know, I think I do struggle with putting up boundaries because, you know, that's just something, but it makes sense. I absolutely like wanna, you know, find someone, focus on them, you know, like nobody's perfect, so I'm willing to put in that work. Um, but I'm good. I don't know. Like I guess, you know, you want somebody that's gonna do the same for you, and I don't find maybe like a lot of guys that are willing to do that, you know. So that's, you know, it has to be a two-way street. And
One of my friend, she's also part of this tribe, but she lives in the UK. But I coached her, and then we became friends for the past 3.5 years, you know. And she said something to me so profound. She said, Coach, we love you, you know, and you are phenomenal. We really, really love you. And she said to me a month, is it a month? About a month ago, she said, you know, you're so beautiful. And I don't see why you are alone. And my conversation with her, I just said one thing. I said, there's a thing called I won't settle. And she said, oh, okay. I won't go any further the conversation. So being alone is good, but not settling for any and everything is also a choice. And so I said to her, I said, you know what? She said, no, she said to me, why don't you not date men in your community? I said, I don't. That's something I never done. And she said, because I lived in Middletown, I was dating a guy in Hartford. I lived in Florida, I was dating a guy here in Connecticut, and I married him. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes you got to go outside of your circle.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, sure.
Just saying you can meet somebody anywhere. So
Yeah.
my boyfriend right now, he's in the other room. I met him 11 years ago on chat roulette.
On
Isn't
what?
that crazy? Remember chat roulette? No? Okay.
yeah,
It's
I
a
have.
website where
What is
it's
that?
like
Wait,
illegal.
I'm late. Let me come up in the game. Let me get to the
Did
game.
everybody freeze?
Rewind.
You did freeze. We could hear you, but
Oh, sorry.
there you go.
Okay, anyway, because you all froze and you were just staring at me. So I was like, oh, do they not know what that is? Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
What's the name of the chat, Mimi?
Chat roulette.
It's like Omegle.
Irene, you see what I'm saying? I'm late to the game. I just came to the game right now. What?
I also want to say something like more directly to you, Tiffany, because from what you've been describing, it kind of sounds like you don't have the tolerance for people's weaknesses or flaws. So, and I'm gonna eventually connect it to my situation. So how will you know if someone's a person that you wanna be with for the long term if you don't start accepting their flaws from the get-go? Now I'm picking back to last week's conversation that we had, because I thought I had no baggage at all. I was good. So why did I mess up with my relationship? And all the girls here told me, you carried the abusive relationship into your new relationship, and you were looking for something wrong in a good man. boom. So how do we, move forward with a relationship if we're not opening ourselves up to that person?
Good question, Irene. My suggestion, my coaching, when I'm doing life coaching with, in terms of relationship, I always bring it back to you. And what did you write down? These journals are phenomenal. What did you write down in your journal that you wanted in a man? Did you even write anything of what you want in a guy? Did you list anything? Is he tall? Is he dark? Is he handsome? Is he caramel? 6-pack, big belly, fat guy, makes 6 figures, sexy, one that travels, one that likes to eat food, one that likes to go to the club. What is a man that fears God? A man that's a preacher, a man that's a teacher. What is it that you're attracting? What is it that you want? And then I was listening to a pastor from Ghana earlier today. He just popped up in my YouTube, and I was listening to him driving out earlier. And he said something, it's not only for church, but in life. He said, you get what you want by the spoken word. He said, if you don't speak it, you don't get it. And I'm one who believes firmly, strongly in manifesting what you want by the spoken word. So I would say, first, know what kind of guy you want, then start speaking it, and keep your eye open, because he may not come exactly the way how you expect him to show up. And he may not show up at the grocery store, right? The sweatpants. No, let me stop. He may show up at the train station, Tiffany, because you live in New York, right?
Yes.
He may show up at the train station. Or you may be on your way to New Jersey to see Laura, and next thing you know, guess what? Boom! Right on the train station on your way to see your sister, you're like, yo, this guy is cute. And you'd be like, hey, shorty, what's up?
Hey, Shawty, what's up?
And you're like, oh, boy, you fine boy. Yes, it's my season and it's my turn. It is my season. That little girl in you comes out. And how you know that you really, really, truly love this is what I've experienced in my marriage, is that when the little girl in you could come out around that guy, that particular man, you know that at that point, you're totally in love with him. Because then your authentic self is shining. So if you don't get that feeling completely when you meet that guy, the butterflies, the excitement, and it's not consistent after 30 days, I always tell women to pause. I always tell them after 30 days, pause. Because if you're not getting that feeling, that means he's just not the one. Some women, in my coaching classes, they take longer. But I always say 30 days. A man should know what he wants when he meets you. I have a guy right now, he won't leave my cell phone alone. Let my sister let Takesha tell you, he won't leave me alone.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
He does not meet up to my standards.
I see.
And he said, because you made that statement, I'm gonna go up to your standard. And me and Takesha was laughing. And she said, sis, you're terrible. I'm not terrible. I'm not terrible. I know what I want. And if I'm not gonna get what I want, I'm not gonna settle. Now, if you wanna work your way to my level, then honey, by all means, work it, and walk it out. Walk it. Yeah, walk it out. Sometimes you gotta train them. When you get a dog, don't you train the dog? You get a cat, you train him, right? Men are like puppies. My grandmother always says, when girls are washing dishes and cleaning the house, boys are outside kicking balls. And right through childhood up to manhood, that's all they do is kick balls. That's it. If y'all could read between the lines, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Let's be honest. Very few and far-fetched in between men you find that come in the kitchen and help. Hey, honey, I want to help you cook dinner. No. Right now, Super Bowl is going on, and they're watching Super Bowl. And the wives is bringing the chips and the dip and the chicken wings. Negro, is you crazy? No, you're going to get up and go to the kitchen. Now, if I'm watching the game with you, I'll bring for me and you. But I got my class to do. So while you're watching your Super Bowl, I got my class to do. So you also need someone that's supportive of your goals. Someone that takes interest in your goals and your dreams and your aspirations. Very important. Because that's the only way you're going to thrive. When I look at Sarah Jakes and her husband, that's relationship goals for me. When she travels, she stops, she pauses. She said, wait, can I just talk about a handsome and sexy man for a moment? Can I just celebrate that man for a minute? The man who prays for me, can I just, and she takes that moment to celebrate him. Why? Because he allows her to shine. He's not intimidated. He's not feeling out of place. He's not feeling any kind of way. Why? Because she's stroking his ego while he's sitting there. So women, we're powerful. We just got to learn how to use our power, not misuse it. Tiffany, what did you learn from tonight's class?
That I should use my power and definitely be clear in what I want and you know, set my intentions and set my goals and you know, have boundaries and you know, yeah.
Laura?
Yes.
Laura haven't been here in a while. We miss you, girl.
I'm sorry. I know it's been crazy these last few
You
weeks.
got the boyfriend, so you know.
A new one. Yes. Yeah. No. He lives in Michigan. So like a few weeks ago, he drove.
He's far away. Nice.
And he drove from Michigan to Jersey to see me.
That's what I'm talking about, boo. Yes, girl. Hurry up and get off the live so you could come and give him some.
I gave him some earlier. I don't need to give him any more later.
Yes, girl. Love it. So, Laura, what did you get out of tonight's class? What did you learn from what Kimberly shared?
So I learned that I really need to learn how to clear my soul, and I really need to be careful about the baggage that I bring into, you know, my next relationships. Really careful.
Who else is there? Who else is on the call? Takesha? Did she leave? Sometimes she'll slip out. Okay. Irene, what did you get out of tonight's class? Oh, it seems like Irene disappeared for a minute. Mimi, how about you?
Definitely the boundaries, and not just boundaries, but definitely setting those expectations. Personally, I realized because I didn't set clear boundaries or expectations in the past, I kind of let every Dick, Tom, and Harry come into my life and create havoc. But that's because I didn't set those clear expectations and I didn't hold my personal standards high enough. So I definitely learned to put myself up on that pedestal because dang it, I deserve to be up there.
All right, girls, I don't know. It seems like Irene, she lost connection for a little bit. Sometimes she does lose connection. So she didn't hang up purposely. I can tell you girls that she didn't do that. But I really appreciate everyone coming on tonight. We do have Empowerment Talk Show that's aired on our YouTube channel, Empowerment Talk Show. So you can like, follow, and subscribe. And that happens every Monday night. Also, we do have, as you girls know, we have our platform online where you can follow up, chat with the girls. I have a WhatsApp group, but sometimes the WhatsApp group can get overbearing. So we try to move everything online. And Tiffany, if you need a sister, you can reach out to Laura. Laura is close by. Laura is in New Jersey and you're in New York, so you can reach out to her. Laura is an awesome person. You know, she's really awesome. I
Thank
just
you.
met her 3 weeks ago, and she texts and she calls, you know, like I've known her for 20 years. And I really, really appreciate that about her. Not everyone is like that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And she always texts and say, I'm not gonna make it to group, say hello to the girls for me. And I always deliver your message.
Yes, she does. She does.
So thank you, Tiffany, for stopping by. We appreciate your presence and for you being authentic in the space. Kimberly, thank you so much for doing such a phenomenal job. I know you get nervous when we put you up here to say something, but you got something to say, and I want you to keep on keeping on, keep doing what you're doing. One day you'll be greater than me, you know. You'll be the voice of your generation to encourage young women who have gone through what you've been through. But Tiffany, we would like to see you again. And we would like to hear more about your growth and your expansion. Are you in business?
What do you mean in business?
Do you own a business? Are you in school?
Oh, I'm a business major. Yeah, and I'm working from home right now.
Yeah, because you're talking, and the reason why I asked the question is because I see the word business over you. Like you can write a business plan with your eyes closed. You can, it's something that you're passionate about, and you'll do great. You will really do great in it. Keep pursuing it. Don't stop. It's the world we live in now, actually. But I look at every time I mention your name, I saw business.
Thank you so much. I really learned a lot, and I'm ready to apply some things.
Awesome. So we do have, I know Mimi spoke about our retreat. Laura, are you coming with us?
It's going to be, I'm not entirely sure. I just had to pay $3,000 to a lawyer for something. So if I can afford it, yes.
Yeah, so the retreat is going to be 2 persons in a room.
Okay.
And so let's say you want to share with Mimi. Please, this retreat, Laura, I'm going to be selfish. I'm not sharing my room with anybody. Last time I shared with Mimi, and she was on one bed and I was on one, and she didn't talk to me.
I didn't. Why? Because I was sleeping. Thank you.
You went to bed early, Laura.
I was tired.
Early. Let me tell you, talking about I'm tired. You know what I'm saying, Tiffany? Like we're on a girls trip and you're talking about you're tired.
She wanted to come at 2 o'clock in the morning and have a full-blown conversation. No, it's bedtime.
2 a.m. That's like prime drinking hours, man.
Yes, say it, Laura. Let them know.
Drinking hours, man.
Yeah, we're drinking water. Okay, so
drink water. I mind my business. So we are going to the Lake June, Alaska resort, and I'll say per person, no more than $1,000 per person for flight, food, and the room for 3 days.
Okay.
And I was asking the lady, if 2 persons stay in the room, can they split the cost? And she said, well, I said, okay, let's work something out based on the amount of women that comes. Because what they do is they charge per person for the room because it's COVID time.
Of course.
Yeah.
So everything is a little bit more expensive.
So the more expensive it is, the safer I am from COVID, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So I think 2-person per room is good. What you girls think?
I'm fine with that. I don't care.
Yeah, so put the dollars and cents together. And if you need somebody to book flights, we do have Miss Diane Watson. You girls will meet her one day. And she will definitely come on, and she has a form that you girls have to fill out. And it's just like a questionnaire. So I can email it for whoever wants it, and you can communicate with her one-on-one, and she can book your flight. Your flight from New Jersey, Laura, is probably $100 and something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might even be able to just drive. I think it's like a 4-hour drive or something.
To North Carolina from New Jersey?
Yeah, well, maybe the way I drive. I have a heavy foot.
New Jersey to Virginia is 5 hours.
Oh, about 5 hours. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes
And then-
sense.
Yeah, and then after Virginia, you hit the Carolinas. I'll say, because from Connecticut to North Carolina, when I drove, I did 14 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna take you like a good 10 hours.
Okay.
No, it won't take her that long. I think it'll take her about 8 from where she is in New Jersey. Because remember, from Connecticut to New Jersey, Mimi's like 6 hours.
Huh? From
Yes.
Connecticut to Jersey is like, I'm further than you. Jersey's about 4 hours. New York is 2.5. Mm-hmm.
New York is 2.5.
To get to Philly is like 6 hours, 5 hours.
I don't know what
I
kind of
used to
legs
live
you
in
guys
East
are using to drive over.
I used to live in Virginia, used to drive up and down the East Coast all the time. I just said 10 hours because I don't know how far into North Carolina we're going. North Carolina
We're
is
going into Charlotte.
But yeah, maybe like 8 hours, 8 to 9.
Yeah, we're going into Charlotte. So we're gonna book at a group rate.
Okay.
For the retreat. There are restaurants there. It's right on the lake. Everything is there. You don't have to look for anything. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait. I'm ready to go tomorrow if you ask me.
If I can get the PTO, because right now I only have like 3 days off for PTO.
Do you work on weekends?
I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 10 o'clock.
Okay, so
So-
you could fly in Friday morning.
Yeah, if I use
We're
one
gonna
day.
get-
Because I work
No.
on Friday nights.
We leave, so you could ask for Friday off. So
Yeah.
it's only one day, and then we're there Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, and then
We leave Sunday morning, but we'll be there when we check in, Jesus. When we check in Thursday evening, it's at 4 o'clock. So by the time we eat dinner, it's bedtime, right, Mimi?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Tiffany, you saw that? She was like, right, yeah. Like she's really like, yeah, it's bedtime.
It is bedtime.
Can you imagine?
You're talking about traveling. I'm going to want to sleep.
me and Tiffany and Anish are gonna go out for drinks, and you can go to bed.
I will go to sleep. And I have to see headphones.
Right. So Thursday we check in at 4 to the hotel, but persons can fly in on Friday morning.
Okay.
Let's
Let me
get-
see what I can do. No promises, but I'll let me see
Yeah.
what I can work out.
Just let me know, and then I'll get Diane to or maybe you could look for your own flight from New Jersey.
Yeah.
And Tiffany, would you like to join us?
What are the dates again?
May 12th to the 15th.
Yeah, I'll have to see, but I'm interested in more information.
You can Mimi, can you type our website in so she could get it?
Mhm.
While I'm sitting here, I'm picking up the stuff off my office desk. So you can visit our website. You can share a room with someone. Maybe you and your girlfriend can partner up and share, and let us know if you're gonna share. And we have fun, right, Memes? We go to
Always fun, great
jacuzzi, we go
time.
swimming, you know, we laugh, we argue. Yeah, we argue on the retreat. I'm just joking. But we have fun. We do have fun. And when you leave, you feel refreshed.
100%.
You feel refreshed. I'm telling you, when I say refreshed, refreshed. So we would love to have you with us, Tiffany, for the first time, and hope to see you next week.
Alrighty,
Okay,
ladies.
sounds good.
You girls have a wonderful week,
Yeah.
and we'll
Thank
talk
you.
during
We'll
the
see you
week.
next week.
You too. Enjoy
Have
your
fun.
week.
Have a great week.
Okay.